So, welcome to Montana Voices podcast. We are in season 3 and we are opening up episode 1 with a straight banger here with a special guest. We, of course, have Bryce as always, and James Bamfield is joining us as well.
How's it going?
James, I'm honored that you could be here with us today on our season premiere of season 3.
I'm glad you guys are having me.
Well, it is a pleasure, and we are not completely strangers. Like decades ago, I don't know, were you there, Bryce, when we worked in the call center? Back when Great Falls
Yeah.
had call centers?
Oh, we had a band together, I tell you what.
And this sort of
Not musically, but
feels like we're getting the band back together here. And everyone in Great Falls is going to know exactly who James Banfield is, but we are going to let you introduce yourself and your qualifications and everything.
So, as Jim said there, my name is James Bamfield. I'm actually here on as part of the Great Falls LGBTQ Center. I am the president over there. I am also the president for the Great Falls Gaming Rendezvous, as well as a avid Ghostbusters fan, as I'm sure anybody who knows me is fully aware of and has seen my car.
Which is not a 59 Caddy, I will point that out. There's discrepancies.
Sadly,
I know, but
no.
it's a new age. It's the dawning of a new age. And I tell you what, when you say the Ghostbusters guy anywhere in town, people say, "Oh, you mean this guy?" And oh yeah, it's always pointing back to Mr. One James Bamfield there. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves here.
One thing at a time.
Let's go ahead and get the business out of the way here. Everyone, I'm sure you've already been to the site. You're probably listening to it right now, but on our website, of course, MontanaVoicesPodcast.com. If you'd like to hit us up with any questions, concerns, or if you'd like to be on the show, much like our friend James Bamfield here, our email address is montanavoices@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is going to be at Montana_voices. Our Facebook is at Montana Voices Podcast, and you can look us up on YouTube by searching Montana Voices Podcast as well. And then, as of recently here, Jim, I understand you've taken to the talk.
Yeah, we are TikToking daily news updates under 3 minutes, and it's the news. And unlike this show, it's no opinion. I simply read you the news.
That's pretty great. We'll admit I don't have a TikTok still, so this is all Jim project side, and I'm pretty proud of what it's turned into.
Yeah, actually I don't know what TikTok numbers, they're all Chinese numbers, so it's hard to know if they're more or less, but views in the thousands daily, so it's pretty incredible what's happening over there. It's challenging our regular viewership. The idea was to plug the cast on TikTok, and I guess now we're plugging both ways.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like it's getting close there to rivaling our, normal numbers there, potentially, but, maybe on someday.
Yeah, I'm in charge of keeping track of those numbers, so I'm not sure. So there's a way to do it. I don't know. But there's many thousands of listeners. So let's jump right into local elections, I guess, because we'll stick to Great Falls for this because this was just a municipal election, so there's no big statewide news to report on here. Just the local stuff where Bob Kelly is going to remain your guys' mayor. I say your guys' because I'm in a county far away. And that should be to the surprise of nobody. I mean, he got twice as many votes as Fred Burrow. But with the city commission, there was a few upsets there. There was how many people were running? Like 6, 5, 6?
Oh, geez, it was like, it was like a conference for the Blue Man Group. Just all the different groups of Blue Men coming together.
Well, with some of this batch, I think it might closely relate to Slipknot. You're like, how many are there?
Well, no, that's the thing. There's a Blue Man Group. Each group is 3, but they'll have shows put on in Vegas, and there'll be one in Toronto at the same time.
Really?
There's several different outfits. Yeah, they're kind of like a motorcycle gang, but with strange musical pipes instead of Harleys. It was akin to that, or Slipknot.
And just like the reference. Harley people, Blue Mans also like to dress up. So with paint, because they're blue.
Yeah, we're working through some stuff.
Well, there's also been an upset, and I just added this, and I didn't tell anybody about it because I just saw it before we got on, but Hauk has resigned. He's no longer on the city commission as of tomorrow, so maybe as of when our listeners are hearing this cast, there is an opening in the city commission that's going to be filled by a popular vote among the commissioners, and sounds like some turmoil.
I was going to ask about that, because I saw as well that she had resigned, and I thought that it was going to go to like number 3 here, but we're going to do a popular vote, huh?
Well, amongst the commission, the commissioners will vote on it. So not
Oh,
necessarily a
oh, the
popular vote.
oh, that doesn't sound like it's going to cause a fiasco in the slightest.
I look forward to the normal rags trashing whomever. But so with the commission, the two new members are McKinney and Wolf, who had a little under 5,000 votes for McKinney, a little over 6,000 for Wolf, and they are Cascade County, or excuse me, Great Falls new city commissioners. And another one's going to be appointed. It could be James.
Geez, sounds like it there. President of 2 groups, mister?
Soon to
Gosh,
be.
why not add a commissioner? The only other famous commissioner I can think of is Commissioner Gordon. So I think this is a role
Yeah.
that you could step into easily enough.
I mean, I've got a fancy dressed up car. I just, need to have a boy wonder, I guess.
What does a commissioner even do in this town?
Write anonymous articles.
That's what I mean, it sounds like there's just got a lot of free time there. But, what do I know? I'm no commissioner. Anyways, Mayor Kelly there has won it again.
Yeah, despite
So that's
some people's efforts, because there was feels like these people on the extremely far right, they're the Tea Party Reborn, I feel, are extremely vocal. So the same argument we hear all the time, like with the Let's Go Brandon crowd. They're like, well, everybody hates the guy. How can he possibly win a popular election? And it's like, your people are just loudmouths. It's sort of what it comes down to. They're the loudest voice in the room consistently. So with all the riffraff we were hearing coming from the right about the hand-picked, sort of cookie-cutter candidates, with 6 of them, there were a few of them that I felt were just sort of the, far right, sweethearts. I felt like I think that Tarosky gal, and who's G.I. Joe in this whole?
Yeah, alleged Mr. Copeland there, I believe.
Yeah, he got into some trouble. We'll get to him in a second. So the sweethearts, the ultra-right sweethearts, did not win this election, which I think is telling because, in the midterms, we, of course, saw the red wave sweep across pretty much the entire country, especially Montana. But here we are, and we're seeing I guess, answer to that with more moderate candidates that got in.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, Jim, I didn't pay attention. I forgot to change my registration when I moved. I didn't even vote this time because, we got all these new voter laws, and so, I did not pay attention. So,
Yeah, no more same-day registration, Bryce.
I am on this one. I'm on this roller coaster now.
Bryce, you've lost the right to complain. That's what's happened here.
Momentarily.
Oh well, yeah, here you are in front of a microphone, so
we needed to start season 3.
Well, we are. You live in a city now, so you're no longer
Indeed.
Off the grid.
Yep. No, I moved inside the city limits here. We're no longer on county land.
You had to sell your goats and chickens.
Yeah, the livestock is all haggled away with the neighbors, so they'll make fine meals one day. I'm certain. Things will work out all right there. I now am on a sewer system here in town, so that is
not your yard.
Pretty
impressive,
pretty revolutionary stuff we got going on here. There's sound ordinances, so that's kind of lame. You have to cut your grass. I'm not a massive fan of that, but at the same time, I suppose it makes things look nicer.
You pay a kid to do that.
Yeah, pros and cons, double-edged sword, I suppose.
But on the
I'm happy to be here.
I bet closer to civilization, and I lived in or owned a trailer in Lockwood because that's all there is to own in Lockwood for a long time ago. But I was somewhat active in politics and was a big thing at the time because Lockwood is not part of Billings, although Billings is on both sides of Lockwood, completely surrounding it. They're sort of like Black Eagle.
Yeah, Lockwood's just the what is it? It's just the strip club and the gas station there, and
there's a Mecca truck
couple
stop
of rail
now.
yards.
No, they got all the way out on Johnson Lane. There's like 2 different huge mega truck stops now, so it's improved out there. But Billings was on all sides of it, and I remember a city commission meeting where they were hearing about this. Comes up every 5 years or so where somebody's like, why aren't we part of Billings? Somebody asked that question. Seems like it would work out well for us. They'd like pave our streets and give us sewers and, have police out here, which could be useful for Lockwood. It's a criminal haven out there, Bryce. But
What could possibly draw in that crowd?
But I just remember one very angry old guy. He's like, "We don't need the city coming in here and paving our roads and putting in sewers." And he said it all angry, like that was a bad thing.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what my old area sounds like, because it was very much, you could see city land on all sides of you, but you were on the county land.
Oh, imagine 10,000 trailers, each with their own septic system. It's literally a city built on its own crap.
Yeah, right. Like, what if your drainage field, ends up going out? Guess I'll just dig into my neighbor's drainage field.
Easy enough. What's this? Speaking of the city commission, she won. Susan Wolf. You have a note here about her, but I don't understand the context. Is she a wolf in sheep's clothing? What is that even supposed to mean, Bryce? I'll let you explain.
Oh, there was a news article, a recent local news article I saw that said, "Be careful. This person could be." Yeah, it alluded to her being either a wolf in sheep's clothing or a werewolf or something. I didn't get the full context myself, but either way, it sounded like it was just making fun of her last name. And
Well, she was the more moderate candidate. I know it was the those ECD beat people that did a thing on it, and by people I mean that Phil Guy and Rick Tryon.
taking a cheap shot at somebody over their last name.
That's totally them. And James, to clue you in, I don't know how many of these casts we've listened to. There's far too many. I mean, we go on for hours and like weekly for the last 4 years. How long has it been, Bryce? Jeez. But so there's more. So when somebody hasn't listened to a cast, even if they claim to be fans, I don't disparage them or feel bad about it because there's just too much of it to listen to. But we had an episode last year where we spent an hour investigating, and I came to the conclusion that E-City Beat and Rick Tryon were guilty of electioneering and that somebody should potentially look into that. And I know you're an outstanding guy. I'm not going to lure you into making statements here. But, we are recording, James, just so you're clear. But we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I completely lost my train of thought, I think. But that's where we're coming from with that, with the E-City Beat, where Rick Tryon writes articles, and you're sure that they're written by him because they're against his opponents in the 2 elections he's been involved in. But yet those are the ones that they pull out the E-City Beat, moniker for, written by the staff of this, opinion blog that doesn't have a staff, except for Rick Tryon. Anyway, you're very wise, James, in not jumping in on that because the political anything it'll pull you down.
He
It's
came
like
here
a
to
quicksand.
talk about that, Jim.
No, he didn't.
like obviously I have my own opinions, but unfortunately, being here as a representative of the center, I had to hold my tongue a little bit just because my thoughts are my thoughts, not of the center. So
Right, I understand completely, and this is like quicksand. It will bring you in, and some people will love you, and some people will egg your car. There's crazies out there. It's just
with me having an easy to find car, the whole egging of the car thing is kind of a terrifying thought.
Yeah, I don't even know why you're bringing this up, Jim. Like, seriously.
I can't imagine anybody ever egging your car because but
My car got egged.
Your car got egged.
Yeah.
Was it a result of the cast?
I don't know, because it was during our, it was after season 2 got over with there, So it's hard to say unless someone had a lot of free time and went back and listened to 2 seasons worth and mistaken me for that other weirdo. I don't think so. I think it was just a random hoodlum. But either way, regardless, James, let's move on. The center. What tell us about the center here? What do you got going on there? What do you do there?
So, as the president, of course, I'm mostly here to make sure that functions run smoothly, meetings go off without a hitch, make sure that we're doing what we can for our community. It's a joint effort between myself and our board, of course. We have a slew of services we offer to the community, ranging from assistance in legal matters for name changes, ranging over to free and confidential HIV, STD testing at the actual center itself from time to time, as well as community outreach events such as potlucks, and just recently our trunk or treat event we just had.
I saw that. I saw you guys setting up. It was at the Paris Gibson Center, right?
It was, yeah, we had half the lot rented out for the evening.
Nice.
What, they
Yeah,
rent
I
parking
saw.
lots?
Like, I was on my. I'm sorry. What, Jim?
I'm saying they rent parking lots? It's a parking lot. Nobody's
Yeah.
parking there. That's
Well, the space itself is from Paris Gibson, and because they are, I believe what it is because they are funded by donations. They do need, financial income wherever they can get it. So it's a nice little thing. It helps us. It helps them. Everybody wins in the end.
I think
It's
you're
a
telling me
private
that
property there.
private, but Tracy Howe continues to fleece America as a whole. That's what you're
Oh
saying.
my God, Jim! Stop it! Stop it!
That is 100% a joke, but leading back to an old. This is why I thought this would be all right because we
I
both know
understand.
James somewhat well.
No, it's all right. It's okay.
well-
We are very bitter that she is leaving because we don't feel that it's fair. We understand circumstance and all that, but
Northrop Grumman.
Yeah.
That's where she's
go-
going.
you know what? So yeah, we said our piece. We said our piece. Moving on. It's potlucks. Tell us about the potlucks.
So unfortunately, we haven't had any recently just because of the entirety
Ah.
of the ongoing pandemic. But we actually are planning on doing a small one coming up here. Sorry, dates are eluding me now. The 27th, so the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we're going to have a small get together, kind of a Friendsgiving thing. The center itself will provide the main entrees, and then we'll have kind of a potluck style for the other dishes.
Yeah,
I love a good potluck. I tell you what.
They're great.
How do we get in on this potluck? Is of course, the next question.
So we are still in the planning phases. Nothing has been officially posted yet, for lack of a better word. The date is secured. We do have the space and all that jazz. But if you want to look at our website, the Facebook page at Great Falls LGBTQ Center, we do post our events there. So once that does go live, we'll have more details in the coming days.
And off if we go there, you will see James and the Trunk or Treat event, which looked like a blast. I drove by you dressed up in costume to go to a wedding that wasn't a costume wedding that same day. So unfortunately, I could not stop and visit. I wanted to.
Bummer. I appreciate the mindset. We had it. It was a blast. We had we went into it hoping to get at least 300 kids. I had no way of being able to actually keep track of how many trick-or-treaters we had coming through, but we were easily up in the 550s to 600 that we saw in that 4-hour span.
Oh, that's awesome. I ended up seeing you later on that day, I believe, down at the Golden Corral, or the artist formerly known as the Golden Corral.
Yes.
What is it now?
So we had the trunk or treat event for the center on Saturday, and then I personally went over to the trunk or treat event that Game Night Lounge, which is now at the artist formerly known as the Golden Corral. I went there personally and handed out candy as well there, and thank goodness that the community rallied around me for that, because I think I spent $230 roughly on candy and another 20 on allergy friendly candy. After all 3 trunk or treat events, I have one small bowl left of candy. At the one you saw me at game night, I think I saw about 700 kids.
Oh, wow. Good on you, James. That was an amazing thing. And I love the setup you guys had there with the Ghostbusters,
Oh yeah,
I
no,
mean, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was not allowed to watch Ghostbusters as a child.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they got a building. I was part of a religious group there that was against the festivities and anything to do with the mysticism of sorts there, So Ghostbusters was one of the big, would you say, taboo items there that, was also highly sought after.
I can understand that.
So,
I mean-
yeah, and for like myself and a lot of others, we get out and like, well, I've never seen Ghostbusters, what's that about? And then you end up watching it and it's like, wow, this is quite an amazing film.
This is
Oh yeah.
a polarizing subject. First Ghostbusters, great. Second Ghostbusters, great concept. I loved it, but as I understand it, it sucked.
For the most part, yeah, I would agree with you on that one. The second Ghostbusters wasn't too bad. It really did pave the way for the franchise to continue, but there's always going to be a special spot in everybody's heart for the OG.
And it's impossible to follow that up. I mean, it's legend at this point.
Oh no, exactly. I
Well,
mean, you have a film with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd playing opposites to each other. Like that's just you can't top that.
from what I understand, the video game that they came out with, they put a lot of effort, including getting the original cast back in.
They so it seemed to be a little known fact. The video game was actually supposed to be Ghostbusters 3. So they had a script, they being Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman. They had a script for Ghostbusters 3 that never really hit production. So what they did instead was kind of rolled it into the video game. So Ghostbusters the video game is essentially the spiritual successor to the Ghostbusters franchise.
What platforms is that on? Just who knows off the top of their head?
I know it's on Steam at least. I believe it's on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And there was also a Wii version, but the Wii version was incredibly stylized and kind of didn't focus too much on the actual story that was presented in the other versions of the game.
Wait, like the handheld Wii or the Wii from 2000? What was that, 7?
Yeah, the Wii from 2007, the nunchucks that almost
Really?
always got embedded into a TV somewhere.
Yeah. Looks to your Nintendo Switch, your Xbox One, and your PlayStation 4, and your Windows.
Oh yeah, it did just come out
There's
on the Switch.
also a note here that says that Apple users are not good.
Yeah, no one cares
So,
about them Apple users. But Linux also not listed, it seems.
well, that's because no one knows what that is.
Well, this cast is open sourced, I assure you.
Thank God.
So we got sidetracked in Ghostbusters, but back to the center and some of the services they offer. Sounds like a lot of community outreach. Is there? What do we have? I'm asking because I legitimately don't know, because I really don't live in Great Falls. So, any sort of rest, like a shelter of any sort, or is it refer you to those services, or what happens at the place if somebody?
we we are not equipped at this time to handle emergency situations of that nature, housing crises, things of that nature. We do, however, have resources within the community that we can refer out to. So if someone's in need of, say, a psychologist, we do have gender affirming medical professionals within the town that they can utilize that we can refer them to at any time.
With that, that's interesting because I can think of situations where somebody who's having, for lack of a better term, and there's going to be a lot of education here, because I recognize as sort of a mostly white straight male that it's not my spot to speak here, but also if I would like to be considered an ally, of course. So what I can do with that, but also acknowledging that this isn't my spotlight.
Yeah, and I understand that. And that's ironically enough kind of something that I personally also feel kind of a weird issue with because I am a large, straight, passing, cishet male. So from the outside looking in, you wouldn't assume that I am anything but an ally to the center. So I always have this small bit of, I guess, imposter syndrome is probably the best way to describe it, just because I feel like I can't fully speak on these matters. And there are some matters I won't be able to fully speak on. For example, issues with transitioning from male to female or female to male, things of that nature, just because I haven't lived through that. But the great thing about the LGBTQ community is that it's embracing, it is always adapting, and it's always learning. As long as you're willing to be open minded and willing to learn, you're always able to help in the community, which is just great.
Right where we want to be, but like I said, not my spotlight, and not because it feels weird. Like I would feel uncomfortable in your spot, simply because those same feelings that you have, that you aren't ever going to have these experiences that the people that you were propped up to help are probably currently experiencing. So that's I understand the difficulty in that, and the difficulty of especially doing that in Great Falls, where it's not always been historically friendly, unfortunately, and a lot of progress has been made.
Yeah.
There, Great Falls is far from the worst in Montana, but there's still a lot of the old mindset. For example, this is just all rhetoric here, say, but whatever. I was in Great Falls about a couple months ago. I was visiting my mom, and I had needed a shirt. So I went to Target and get up a shirt. It was right after Pride Month. Was that a couple months ago? But I went to
Yes.
Target to buy a shirt, and I found a shirt in my size, which rarely happens because I'm a big guy. Target doesn't carry 2XL. But I found a 2XL shirt that said Ally. I'm like, this is super cool. I'm going to wear it. So wear the shirt. Don't think anything of it. Go to the Home Depot. Someone calls me the F word. Do I need to explain?
What?
Yeah, at the Home Depot. And I was like, yeah, I've been called that before. I was like, yeah, and what's your point? I mean, I'm just rolling with it. And the same thing is like, let's get out of here. And him and his truck buddy left. And I was like, I thought I was gonna fight somebody, which it's been a long time since I fought anybody. But if there's a reason to fight, that might be
At
it.
the Home Depot of all places. Like, come on, how
Nothing
can't you
sacred
just
to
go
these
buy
people.
your drill and then I can buy my sandpaper and then we can go about our business? Like, we both, neither of us want to be here for the fourth time today.
I just couldn't believe that experience happened. And for somebody like me, where that it doesn't make a difference to me. I could care less about it. You called me a name. It's not even the right name. Like people sometimes. I said white-ish earlier. I'm not quite white. I'm a little dark. But I've been called racial slurs from Native Americans before. I'm like, geez, you can't even get the right racial slur. Maybe that might have some effect for me if you use the right people. But I can just imagine for somebody who's
for some people being jerks, it's just, it doesn't matter. They'll just call you something if they think it sticks,
Exactly.
And
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that happens. I've actually, ironically enough, had something similar to that happen because I, as soon as I learned how to sew, I actually picked up the needle and all that jazz and ended up making myself and a couple other board members center masks. So it's the rainbow fabric, has a logo on the left cheek, and I actually wore that to Home Depot.
the
And I
same
had
Home Depot.
It's always Home Depot. I think it's just the bravado of men just comes out in Home Depot because I got to get my drill and I got to show my wife how manly I am. I don't know.
not
Either
me,
way,
man.
same sort of thing.
I'm right there. Like, where's that son of a bitch with the orange apron at? I just saw him 3 seconds ago. Where'd he go?
Yeah, the
Get
moment
over
you
here
consciously think that you need help, they just know and they hide.
Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, I hear what Jim's saying there, though, with not wanting to help but not knowing how to help there in that sense. Because on top of that, I'm sure going into a position of like El Presidente like that, that's seen as a position of power, but at the same time, like you want to use your, maybe I'm just assuming here, but I imagine that you'd want to use that persona that's perceived by strangers of you to for the uses of good, I guess. Trying
Yeah,
to think
and
how I could
you're
say that better, but
yeah,
and
and
I guess that gets somewhat into the. I just found out about white savior complex the other day, and like, man, that's something to stick away from to an extent there. But these are all very tricky situations to jump through anymore. And it's like, man, how can I just do what I can to help out?
the biggest thing that I've always seen and always kept in the back of my mind, even before I was associated with a center at any degree for that matter, um, just think back to your school days. You remember how whenever there's always somebody talking about classes, stuff like that, that bullying won't be allowed on campus, stuff like that. Make sure that if somebody's bullying a kid, step up, say it's wrong, get an adult. It As silly as it is to say, that's kind of the same mentality you want to drag into this. If you happen to see somebody who is, in that community, whether they really are, or like Jim was saying, just unfortunately getting the backhand of somebody who doesn't know any better and using the wrong slurs, step in, say something, help out however you can. Because more often than not, it's just somebody trying to throw their weight around literally over somebody who is more often not physically smaller than them. And they feel like they can get away with it and call them all these slurs just because who's going to stand up?
People like us, like myself, Bryce, and James are, where even though this isn't our movement, wherever we can, is to stand up and I guess be that voice for somebody who's not going to speak for themselves, because they got a lifetime of oppression on this very subject probably behind them. So to both be supportive but also I won't hijack the movement. I'm not qualified to be the president, James. So, or sorry, I keep on calling you James, but I have to do that because we call you Bam in our circle, going way back.
And either's fine. I mean, at this point in time, the Banfield name is synonymous with me anymore, it seems. So,
Well,
but I understand where you're coming from with the whole "don't want to steal the movement" thing, because it's a tricky situation. Because again, you don't want to be the one to you don't want to try and become a martyr for a cause that isn't yours. Is what it kind of feels like you're driving at there, and I understand that. But at the same time, like, being an ally is being able to stand up with those in the community and offer them a helping hand when they need it.
and
No doubt.
from the other
Yeah, and
perspective,
with
being
that in mind,
go ahead, Bryce. More than one minority, personally, I see this happen a lot, where it's somebody who's hasn't lived the same life I have, who maybe even comes I see as a point of privilege, who's getting all upset speaking for my people, which in my case is going to be Mexican Asians, maybe probably some Indian. We'll associate lightly with them simply because most Mexicans are also Indian, but also them not considering themselves Indian is another thing of imperialism a long way past. But people speaking on behalf of Mexicans who aren't Mexican themselves, and on one hand, I'm like, well, it's great that we're being seen and somebody's speaking for us, but there's plenty of us to speak for ourselves. Is sort of the other side of the coin that I feel on the same subject. So
Yeah, and there's a healthy balance you got to respect there. So you don't want to again, it's going back to being a martyr, for lack of a better word. You don't want to sit there and somebody mentions the word, gay, and you jump over like, hey, I know all about that. When, like you said, you haven't lived that life, you don't understand it firsthand. What you really want to be more attuned with, and that's where that balance comes in, is being able to be a helping hand in the event that you see oppression against those in the community.
well, let's
I saw it once on a mug, and like it was the funniest saying I ever saw was, "May you do everything in life with the confidence of a mediocre white male." And like, boy, I tell you what, that one stuck.
Anyway, well, we talked about the center. Did we want to touch on the gaming community for a moment? Because that you,
Oh yeah, your other government that you're
Yeah.
fronting.
how many agencies?
well,
El President. Could we also say that you're chairman of the board?
I think we
I'm
should
gonna have
call
to
this
ask
one
you to get out.
Canada.
No, I mean, I had that kind of weird realization a couple days ago, actually, because again, going back to the fact that we've known each other for a while, I actually posted on Facebook that I had this odd realization that I'm kind of a weird silent pillar in the community, which sounds cocky to say out loud, but considering the fact that I'm president for two boards and I help out in a bunch of different ways around the community on the back end, so I'm just a faceless body in the back helping out. It's just weird to think that I actually do help. It's just a weird realization to come to.
Oh, I know what you mean. We too, in a lot of respects, also feel like, and not necessarily in the more visible sense, but definitely in a more like man behind the curtain vibe.
Yeah,
There's who watches the Watchmen here? The man
yeah.
behind the man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're keeping those Watchmen of Watchmen in check. I would hope. I would like to think we had some effect in this last election. So we're making progress where we can, Bryce.
yeah, we try.
So the Great Falls Gaming Rendezvous, was that was the I know there's a big event that you throw on every year, or at least I have seen. Did that get canceled this year, or was that last year? I'm thinking of COVID probably related.
Both actually. So we actually hold it the weekend before Indigenous Peoples Day is what it is. So it's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday prior to, with Monday just kind of being the wind down day, pack up, get out of the hotel space sort of thing. We did have to cancel our 2020 and 2021 conventions just due to the pandemic as well. 2020 there wasn't a snowball's chance in hell we were going to be able to hold that one safely. And
Right.
2021, we weren't able to do either just because, unfortunately, Cascade County's numbers were not somewhere where we felt we could safely hold it.
Yeah, you don't want to end up getting into the paper there for starting an outbreak.
Exactly.
Doesn't bode well for
Like,
22.
It really does not. I I constantly joke around with it. I love being able to sit at a table and argue with somebody else about what counts as an improvised weapon. I just don't want that improvised weapon to be my own breath.
Yeah, I'll get the last laugh on this one, pal.
Great Falls Gaming Rendezvous is kind of a weird thing in itself, just because there is the 501c3 status, which is the incorporation, which holds the convention, Great Falls Gaming Rendezvous, the convention, and that is how we essentially collect funds for the 501c3 side of things and help our partners, which happens to be Sletton Cancer and the University of Providence. We do also make donations from time to time to other pertinent groups. Last year, we made a donation to the Great Falls Food Shelter, or sorry, the Great Falls Food Bank. And the year before that, we actually ended up making a donation to and I apologize, I can't remember the group's name. It's it's the suicide awareness group up in Canada. Unfortunately, one of our guests of honor, the 2019 year, her fiance ended up ending his life a little short. So we wanted to make a donation in her name to them on behalf of the convention.
Have you guys considered, like, if numbers don't die down here for the next year, doing something on Twitch like what Games Done Quick does at all?
We've debated that. The problem with online events, and this is kind of what killed it for us as well, is that trying to plan something of that nature that fast for us would have been kind of a headache. And on top of that, other conventions of the same nature and same size as us do not get much of a collection around them. Um, I think we were seeing roughly like maybe 5 to 10% of normal attendance at those kind of events in other places around the states that held an online event. So we just kind of opted to not go with that. What we
I
are
see.
planning on doing though is doing a kind of a smaller dance. That way, what we can do is limit how many bodies are going to be present and be able to have contact tracing and kind of keep a handhold on what's going on there. With the convention being at a hotel, we really can't control who's coming through the main space just because it's a hotel. But in the event that we were to do like a prom or a geeky dance, stuff like that, we could easily make sure that the space we rent is just utilized for us to allow us to do contact tracing in a much more efficient manner.
It's like a video game prom or like
Essentially, yeah.
a cosplay prom. That'd be cool. I'd be
Cosplay
down for
prom
that.
is more what we were aiming for, with some board games and dice games on the side. The rendezvous is more dedicated to tabletop games, so board games, Dungeons and Dragons, other dice-based role-playing systems. We do usually have a video game room that usually gets a lot of attention, but the main focus is tabletop games.
I assume there's a lot of
I
chess
see.
there as well. The original
You're gonna hate
tabletop
you're
game.
gonna hate me,
It's
but not
banned.
as much as there should
Too
be.
pretentious.
Yeah, we said no. Um,
Your gameplay
I,
is slow. The graphics
ironically,
suck.
Yeah, they only
I
have so
can't seem to
much
get my.
time in the venue. They have to get everyone out.
But no, we actually don't, unfortunately. But it's funny you say that, because one of my board members over at the LGBTQ Center is an avid chess player, and he wants to try and kind of do a handshake between us, a chess night going there at the convention, try and do a chess tournament.
Oh, would he be interested in doing a chess game against Montana Voices podcast? Perhaps
I'll bring out my
He
best game
might.
for that.
we'll have to find out because yeah, this would be against Jim. I'm not good at chess, and
I've
I'm
been trying to get you into that, and
not particularly fond of the game either, if I'm being quite honest. But it's I do enjoy a good chess joke though.
well, ask them what their rating is. I am 1500 plus or minus probably 50, and that's pretty middle of the tier and average. So I'll say chess gets way too complex, and people get way into it. So be forewarned that if you do that, some old guys are going to show up and start tabletopping you guys. And
I used to play
Just
Magic the
saunter in
Gathering.
from-
I understand.
oh, it's the same crowd, but older, wealthier, and more pretentious.
They just show up in Corvettes with AARP memberships now.
But that's exactly what happened. We used to have a chess night over at No Dice, which No Dice is no more. They changed names, right?
Yeah, they are now Downtown Dicing Games.
Well, it was No Dice for those, like, Dice, Know, weird thing. So we used to do a game. A
Sounds
chess
like they found some dice.
Yeah, they found some.
Go on.
But we used to have which started out as sort of just a gathering of a few people playing chess. There was like 3 of us, just some friends, and we didn't tell anybody that we were having a chess night there. But suddenly these old guys start showing up and just schooling everyone, and that'll happen. There's a homeless guy I play down at Liquid Planet in downtown Missoula. He's there every Thursday. He sets up his board. My sister told me about him. Like, there's an old guy who brings out a board and just waits for people to play. I'm like, I'll be there. Show this old guy what's what. And that is not what happened. I got shown what's what. And he can it's always the old guys that have been playing this since they were 7.
Yeah, no, it's the old guys. They'll show up and there, if there's a chess game, and then any place that has coffee at an early hour, always McDonald's. The McDonald's in town, I can't tell you.
It used
It's
to be
insane.
Hardee's.
I've gone
It
there in
used
the
to be
morning
Hardee's.
because I try to get there, because I'm up early to get to work as well. Yeah, but that's 6. If you get there at 5:55, like there will be a group. It's akin to like when you were in elementary school waiting to get inside the building when it was cold out. Yeah, but these dudes are just hovering around the sliding doors, just waiting to get into McDonald's, just to sit, have their coffee, so they can hang out.
Times have
And
changed.
it's a beautiful thing. I can't wait to get to that point.
You can that's the only thing you do is to get up at 5:30 in the morning and get your
What else are you gonna
pull
do?
out the mothballs from your pinstripe jacket and get
Yeah,
on over
gotta-
there.
Gotta head on down to the McDonald's, and and what else? I want to know what happens the rest of the day there.
Oh, this is
So-
why I sort of started Montana Burger Review. That's a YouTube channel. You can go to that and see me review burgers and eat burgers, many of them. But
I'm in a couple of them as well.
You are. I think you were in the Roadhouse one down in Great Burgers.
Yeah, I believe Roadhouse and then Burger Bunker.
Burger Bunker. Yeah. Oh, you would be in Burger Dive if there was a Burger Dive one, but someday. But anyway, it's just that small town feel where the small restaurant feel where the old people, that's where they hang out in the morning, every morning, literally every morning. And I remember in Laurel, Montana, it used to be the Owl Cafe before they closed. And then, yeah, it was Burger King, but they changed it. They no longer had the pot coffee that sat there and burned all day. And the old people hated that. The fresh coffee, they were not a fan of at all. So they went back to Hardee's.
It's funny.
Laurel
The,
Burger King lost
the
$5
coffee
in revenue
wars.
that day.
Coffee wars have always fascinated me. My dad used to work for the cable company here in town. The cable company for the longest time, McDonald's was their turf. So like every morning, it'd be nothing but all the cable company cars, lined up at McDonald's there because they'd all be hanging out there. But all the CenturyLink guys, they all got Burger King. So,
Oh, that sucks.
you know.
Second tier CenturyLink.
right. You come in second place with your copper. That's what you get.
But they're right next to each other. I expect a turf war like the new CenturyLink guy didn't know when he parked in the McDonald's parking lot.
Right. And then just
Bunch of
nothing.
Hey.
Like gets to the other lot and they're just like, man, you are lucky you got out of there with your truck still. So, anyways, that's just some fun industry humor there for you. We're moving on from here.
Well, I had weed on the thing, but that gets pretty political. So, well, the heading was weed. The treading continues, we will save that for the next cast with another special guest who is the person to talk to about weed.
Gosh, I hope so. Going on here, Bamfield, are you a fan of local music?
I used to be. So as you know, I used to date a gal who was a guitarist here in town. I used to pop around to a bunch of the local scenes and stuff like that. I used to live downtown and could go to all the best venues we had to offer in Great Falls.
Oh,
Unfortunately, with me getting all my fingers in so many different pies, I haven't been able to go out and about as much as I would like to.
well, the best venue's gone, but I know what you mean, man.
Yeah,
Back alley.
I never got to play
I'm
there.
I'm
and
mad
I
enough
missed
to
out.
admit I cried when it closed.
If I could get one spot to reopen in town, it'd be the back alley. I absolutely miss when there would be a heavy metal show, and it'd be a 3-piecer playing up there, and you couldn't hear anything because it was so loud, and it was a room the
They had
size of
full
a bathroom
Marshall
stall.
stacks in this area the size of a garage.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Crank
full
to
Marshall.
11.
Full Marshall stack. and it was just a row of 6 dudes standing in a line, all just right in front of the band, 3 feet away, and everyone's just slamming their heads together, and it was a beautiful thing,
It really was.
I,
spiritual.
I never got to play that venue, and I will forever be saddened, and I missed out. You can't go back.
I'm always curious what happened to Steve-O's sofa.
Oh yeah, they
Because
it wasn't
yeah,
that
apparently that
Zoomy?
red couch. So I don't know. I only remember, again, live downtown, so there's always that urban legend of somewhere downtown has Steve-O's sofa, and apparently it happened to be the back alley.
Wow, is that? Oh, I used to sit on that sofa
You didn't hear about the
all the
sofa?
time because my friends would go and they'd be moshing, and I would just sit there and I would drink White Claws, and I never put I had heard about the sofa, but never about its
Then
location.
what?
So that's
Everything was going fine before you started drinking those water beers, Bryce.
oh yeah, no, they're revolutionary.
A revolutionary. I mean, they came about in 2019. What else happened in 2019?
Oh well, yeah, things were a lot nicer.
Well, for the first half of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I say that with a huge caveat carrot there. At least we didn't have COVID.
Speaking of COVID, let's segue into COVID without getting political, and because I'm just going to ask, how has that affected the center and your operations? Obviously, you're, as I think a normal person, taking it seriously. I mean, you've got center masks. I didn't know you made those, so I've seen a few people
Yeah.
with the center masks on. So they're a hot commodity apparently.
Yeah, ironically, as far as masks go from my front, I couldn't find a mask that actually fit my fat head properly. So I decided to grab a sewing machine, learn how to sew. Ironically enough, I sold enough of my kind of crappy masks off the crappy sewing machine to buy a really nice sewing machine that I made better masks with. The ones you see, of course, being the center masks.
Ooh.
Okay, I have to ask because my wife is a seamstress.
I'm gonna
What
ask the
kind of
same
machine you
question.
on now?
It is a Brother HC 1850.
Nice.
It's a nice middle of the road machine. I mean, I can quit with it if I wanted to. I don't think I'm gonna quite go, that seamstressy quite yet, but I'll definitely break it out for masks and costumes and stuff of that nature.
Is that the digital model or?
Yeah, it's a digital one. I got the lovely little digital screen with like 100 and I think 190 different stitch settings it has.
But
Oh, I
well,
mean, you should if it's your machine there.
you
I
should.
mean,
Well, I've got
this
apparently
is-
the same machine, and it was like apparently it's the same model number. It has the panel, and you can do hundreds of different stitches. But
oh,
yeah, I think a model
I'm-
up actually incorporates USB in it, and I don't know what you do with that USB. But
oh,
something.
you could probably do like AutoCAD implementations, I imagine.
AutoCAD sewing. Oh, this is next level stuff.
Yeah, no, it's wild. These machines. I don't even know
Just
how
quote
much
that floor plan.
this one. It really pains my wallet to think how much I paid for this machine. It's a Janome, but
Do you know? Is that
like,
is that a high end brand?
yeah,
Because
Yeah.
it seemed like it when I paid for it.
Because I know you go to the sewing shop and you're like, what kind of, I've got this machine. They're like, you don't need that junk. We don't service that crap. It's like, oh, well, what should I get?
Oh
They-
yeah, man.
They show you this machine.
It's the
that
same.
You've never heard of it, and it's
I tell you what,
$10,000.
if there's one thing that we love and appreciate here, James, it's a good pretentious group of underground enthusiasts, regardless of the subject matter at hand. We love different Reddit groups with the snark communities that just get on each other. Personally, I love the Teen Mom subreddit because it's just nothing but crazy arguments in there. The welding subreddit's probably the
Oh.
most insane
Oh,
one.
welding's the worst.
Welding
no matter
I-
how you're doing it, you make less money than this other guy that's telling you he screwed your mom. It's Xbox Live.
I've
brought
seen some
professional.
zingers.
And yeah, that might be perfect work, but this guy will tell you that if he handed in work like that, he would have been fired 20 years ago.
The biggest gatekeepers out there and other pretentious. We'll plug some local things in here. I don't know if you visited the. It's not really new. It's no longer Rod's Music and Sound. It's Todd's Music and Sound in a completely different location.
Yeah,
Actually need to
trust
go bug them at some point.
go bug them. All right, it is an amazing place. Hit up Todd's Music and Sound. My guy, not Todd, my guy Mike is working there, and
Wait, Mike, the
he'll
old
Oh,
hook you
guy?
nice.
up.
Mike's still there?
Mike Larson.
The old guy, right?
No, new
Oh,
Mike.
new Mike.
This is young Mike.
Oh, geez, they replaced it like what was his name? Mike?
They didn't replace. No, you're thinking of Gary, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of Gary. So he's got a sidekick. They're like cookie cutter Rod's Music and Sound, the next generation.
It's I don't know, dude. It's a really nice operation. I need to head into that store too here, but I've seen what they've done on the Facebook, and then just talking to Mike a couple times about what they've got going on down there, and like they've got like a loan program you can do now for getting an instrument. They still do the layaway. They got some awesome new endorsement deals with different vendors. Schecter, they're
Oh,
still
nice.
doing vendors. So I know we didn't want to get political here, but James, I do have to ask: when Piano Pat's position showed up, were you in favor of the new choice?
I love Corda. I do. He's an awesome musician. I sadly have not had the chance to listen to him live, but I think the next chance I get to go get a fishbowl, I've got to go see him.
Oh, I highly recommend you head on down there. I wouldn't get the fishbowl because the sugar intake on that is through the roof. It just makes my hands
Yeah,
shake thinking about it. But I tell you what, I hand it down there and I grab a Jack and Coke or a Miller Lite, and it is some great tunes. It's a fun time.
She can't be replaced, legend, but Corda is certainly giving it a good run, and they picked the right guy. I mean, I didn't know any of the other people. They certainly sounded like talented musicians, but Corda
Well,
was the right
oh,
guy.
absolutely. And the way I feel that people should look at it here is like, Piano Pat was an artist. It wasn't. She, the Sip and Dip was just a venue. That was her residency
It was
there. But
her venue, and it wouldn't be the Sip and Dip as we know it today without her. Or who knows? Maybe not even open. The Sip and Dip and the O'Hare and Clark and Louis surprise me at their viability every time I'm there. This is still here, and everything else in downtown's closed. But good job, guys.
oh no, that place is always a packed house, and that's Piano Pat aside. Bless her heart, I love Piano Pat as well. She was a sweetheart. She's amazing. But like that place still, the vibe, the atmosphere, everything about that place, it's a special facility. There's a greatness to it. And now the court is in there all the same. I love heading in there now and grabbing a drink. You know,
Absolutely, and
it's
he
it's
too.
akin to swinging by the cigar and grabbing one.
You just stop it. The cigar changed. I remember. I am old enough to remember when the club cigar was an old man's, drunk bar. Not so much anymore. Darn
There's
hipsters.
still if you head in there like before 5 o'clock.
Or,
oh yeah.
or the people that are there when it open. They open at 8 or 10. Bars open at 8 sometimes. That seems weird to me.
Yeah, it's just a matter of who's hanging out at wait. It's like I said, it's the old guys waiting outside of McDonald's at 5 in the morning. If the bartender shows up and there's someone out there, he's like, well, whatever. You just come inside so you don't weird out everybody out there. Yeah, no, but once that 7, 8 o'clock hour rolls around and the music starts cranking up a bit, and they all kind of start to saunter out.
Probably for the best. Well, we've been to the Club Cigar. We've been to Core Clark and Louis, and I was going to say Corda is a smart man, just like Bam is, because I have yet to be able to corner him into politics. He too, like you, he has very strong opinions on things. If you know him well enough, he'll tell you what those are. But just from his public persona, you would have no idea what side of the aisle he's on, which I think he likes it that way. So he's
Listen to you kissing and telling.
well, I didn't tell you what they were, but I just know him from, well, a number of places. Of course, Great Falls High, and he was the owner of the Downtown Doghouse, the best hot dogs I've ever had. Rest in peace, Downtown Doghouse. It was too bad. They did you wrong. Whoever it was, they did you wrong, because that should still be there. But who knows what the future will hold for that. Maybe that could be added to Clark and Louis. They can get in hot dogs. Who knows?
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Oh, I should bring that up. That's the next seed we should plant in this town. I tell you what, let's get everybody talking about the downtown doghouse, and we'll get it back on the menu. Meat's back on the menu,
I'm
boys.
I'm all for getting some hot dogs going around town. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a good burger, but I feel like we've got too many burger places and not enough hot dog places.
Well, yeah, the hot dog's always seen as like an alternative for the picky child in the family. At least in this household it
Yeah,
is. But these kids eat even though they're picky. They still end up pretentious with it. It's Hebrew national all the way here.
Of course, nothing else in this. Of course, you're doing
Yeah,
Hebrew
we
National, bro.
we only answer to a higher authority in this household. It seems. Either way, I'd like to see that as well. A place that's got some specialty dogs to it. Again,
That would be
I
glorious.
know
and-
that I know we have Firehouse Steamers, which isn't too bad. They are unfortunately about 2 blocks away from me, which means I go there way too much for lunch.
we know that feeling.
Yeah, working
Need a
downtown.
place close and
Doghouse. Yeah, they are definitely underrepresented, and I don't know the full story of why the downtown doghouse closed. Maybe it's a story for a future cast. We'll see, and/or for.
yeah, perhaps we do an expose on it there. 60 minutes.
Well, other things we have on the list. We're gonna shame community members, but I think we're past that. I guess. Did we shame them all? Has the right shame gone around, Bryce?
I think that this community is full aware of who should be shameful of what.
They know what they
otherwise,
did.
regardless, I feel like we really, already said a lot of, more uncomfortable, inappropriate things here than we should have.
That's
And,
the point I was trying to make earlier, that when we have a guest on, typically just one of us runs with it, because me and Bryce do this so often that we have this rapport, and sometimes it felt like I was forgetting to include Bam, or we were, simply because of how long we've done this, I guess. So to avoid that dynamic, we usually run solo when we have a guest on, but we'll have to work on our rapport, Bryce. We're professionals here. But speaking of shaming,
We haven't actually gone live in a while ourselves, Jim. Maybe we should do a live one here.
yeah, we absolutely can. Well, obviously not this one, since we've already done the majority of it. But I am totally down for another live. When's the last live one we did? Was that Tim Johnson, or is that? No, we went live with Jasmine Taylor. That was the last live one we did, and that was almost 2 years ago. Or
That
8
was
years.
live.
Yeah, that was live.
Yeah.
You were there, Bryce.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
live.
no, I was there. I'm trying to think though if we actually streamed that out, and yeah, that was wow. So that 2 years ago, that was a long time. We've been
a
at
year
this for
ago.
quite a while. It's
That's
quite
when
a
she was.
profession.
No, this was that. No, that was the midterms. It wasn't that long ago. She was running for House District 25 or whatever it was. Unfortunately, she didn't. She didn't win that one. But we reserve live for our best people. For example, Jeremy Trebus. We did not go live with that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what
So
this guy's gonna
let's
say. We'll keep this.
keep
straight.
going.
Uh,
Anyways,
Well, let's
Um,
now that we've dabbled in politics, Bamfield,
Bamfield.
Bam or Bamfield, we'll ask the question.
James, what's the next event that the center has going on?
So we're actually doing weekly Saturday movies. So we, set up our AmeriCorps Vista. Her name's Robin. Set up the center to be more of a hang place than strictly business. We got a TV mounted in there, so every Saturday we're doing movie showings. Our next major event is going to be on the 27th of Friendsgiving, as well as our participation in the Parade of Lights.
Nice. Are you guys putting a float in?
Chances are we'll probably be using my car just because it's slowly becoming the staple of the center. And with
It's
all the
basically-
lights that are already on there, it's already
Just-
Christmas ready.
And a megaphone.
They just got to wrap a couple more
And
couple
a
more
megaphone.
wheels around it, and she's good to go, huh?
Pretty much. We were actually debating doing like a Clark Griswold sort of thing, throwing a tree on top since I got some roof rails now.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Do
That'd
it.
be fun.
Do it.
If you guys could, it's a shame that we have to get such a ridiculously large tree that's, also probably harmful to cut down such a massive one like that. But it'd be great if we could get a nice, small, shitty tree for the town, and that, and then you could deliver the tree on the back of the Subaru there. I'll
That'd be
never
great.
forget. I believe it was Pierce, David Pierce, Pierce Auto. Is that the guy? Jim
That he was a guy.
was the guy.
He
Did he pass away?
no, well, I don't know. He's probably he sold Pierce. So did he sell
Oh,
it to Lithia, or now
okay.
it's
Yeah, he sold it to Lithia.
or
All right,
whatever, or
because
now
like
it's Taylor's, I think.
I swear
I
to God that he was the Santa one year, but I remember distinctly the Santa one year, like saying hello to all the kids and stuff, and then immediately he went into how broke the city was and how this is like, we're lucky we could afford to turn the lights on even. So pay up, you terrible people. And like it was hilarious because everyone showed up for a great time and he guilted everybody into not paying enough money for this stuff.
anyway,
I remember one former sportscaster, Heath Hagum, once told me that he was working, I believe it was at KFUB at the time, but he had just moved the giant sheriff's badge that Pierce used to wear on the commercials. Remember?
I remember.
He like had moved the badge, but like when he moved it, it like fell behind a desk or something. And I guess Pierce got like livid pissed that because he thought that he had like hidden his sheriff's badge. I always thought that was just a funny thought, Pierce getting angry about his large childlike sheriff's badge.
Well, we are a bit over an hour here, so let's get towards wrapping this up. Any any last remarks from our special guest Bam or James Banfield, pillar of the community?
I guess feel free to say hi if you ever see me out and about. As I said multiple times, I do have a very recognizable card, and people tend to come over and say hi anyways. But
And we will put the
always happy.
U in front of your car as a thumbnail on this cat.
Perfect.
No hiding anymore. So, Bryce, if you walk us through the business here, and yeah, don't forget to add TikTok.
Oh yeah, well, what's the TikTok handle? How about you start us out with that?
Oh, it's just at Montana Voices podcast. By the way, there's a Montana Voice out there. We are not associated with that guy at all. Just to be clear.
Yeah, it's some dude in Plentywood or something.
He
I don't know.
says he's
It
been
wasn't
doing
even
this,
worth
and
looking into.
no, I've never listened to his cast, so I'm not saying it as if he's done anything wrong. I don't know, but he definitely ripped off our name and then tried to say he's been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah, all we know is he ain't us. All right.
Yeah,
We're just two guys sitting in basements or garages, just a couple guys with microphones asking people questions.
we're just here asking
Because
questions.
we're idiots. TikTok at Montana Voices Podcast. Our website, montanavoicespodcast.com. Our email address, if you'd like to be on or you have any questions or concerns, it's going to be montanavoices@gmail.com. Twitter account is going to be at Montana_voices. Facebook at Montana Voices Podcast. And our YouTube, Montana Voices Podcast. Just go and search that and you find all our episodes. Again, James, thank you so much for being on the cast. We hope to have you again on in the future. Thank you. That's all I can say from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for our
Of course, it was
part
a
of the
blast being on
community.
tonight.